in our church that have chosen that option as well. And so in November of last year, there was a proposal brought to our elder board to start a homeschool cooperative here in our current facility, to utilize the 3 classrooms upstairs to host those homeschool kids from 8:30 to 3 o'clock each day. Jordana Ayler is the one that brought that proposal. Jordana had been part of the school planning team as well. And so that proposal for the co-op was approved by the elders, and in January started functioning. So since January of this year, we've had around 25 students on average in those 3 classrooms upstairs. And what we've discovered this year has been really important, because what we've discovered is that that we've been able to do the school on our campus and continue to function as a church as well. We've not had to say no to really anything that we do as a church. We've been able to host conferences here while the school was in process. We've been able to, we had a funeral here during the week while the kids were in school. And so we've been a little bit more sensitive with how we deal with like some of the homeless community with kids on campus. So we've still done that and continue to do that, but that's been the one thing that we've tried to do a little bit more cautiously.
First of all, how is that funded? And the second question is, why wasn't that presented at the meeting in January?
Why wasn't the school cooperative meeting here presented to the well, it had already been approved by the elders at that point. So it was already functioning, I think, by the time we had our congregational meeting. So I would answer that by saying, like, we didn't feel there was a need to have a congregational vote to have a group of students studying on campus. And it's funded by those families. So they give each month, basically almost like they give an offering each month that covers the cost of utilities and usage of the facility. And they've been good stewards of the facility as far as the way they've left things, the way they've treated things. They've done a good job.
Okay, my question is the following. Is the homeschooling, what's going on already, is American-based? I mean, the American schooling system, I guess it's in English. And are they catering to also the bilingual people or people who like to learn English?
Yeah. So this group so far that's been on campus is, I think it is similar to the demographic of our church, where we have a primarily U.S.-based group of students, but we do have, I think there's been 3 or 4 Latino students, but most of them all have a connection to the States because all of them are doing U.S.-based homeschool curriculum. Is that right? All of them are doing U.S.-based homeschool curriculum. In the younger grades, we've actually been really blessed. We had Brooke Dunn that has been teaching like in a classroom with the students, helping them with their work. So they haven't been on computers doing online work in the younger grades. And then middle school and high school have all been online learners. So that's been how it's been functioning to date. And Brooke, this is your last Sunday with us, isn't it? So I meant to say that in church, but huge blessing, giving her yeah, amazing. She's given a year down here. This wasn't even on her radar when she came down to actually be this teacher. She does have a teaching license, and so she was able to put that into good use. And then she is only heading back. I think it's kind of a poor excuse, but she's getting married next month. So, Steve.
Daniel, I'm sorry. This is super hot. I have a question online. The question is, what about children that are a part of our church that can't attend the church? The statement is our church is not just for expats. That
can't attend the school?
I can clarify. That was a question.
Okay.
What about children that are part of the church that can't attend?
Okay. I'm not sure I fully understand, but like so this was a pretty closed group. That's kind of sounds bad to say it that way, but it was a families that were within our church at the time, in the church community, that were all looking for the exact same thing, and they were looking to try to connect their kids with other kids, and it's and to be honest with you, cooperative, we kind of realized after it started wasn't probably the best way to define it, because cooperative typically is a parent that is skilled in a subject, kind of giving their expertise to all the students. And to have Brooke there every day, as a teacher, was kind of different than a true cooperative, the way it works. Pete?
You indicated it was self-funded. Are those funds going through the church account?
No, they haven't at all. The only thing that comes, the question was, it's been self-funded, how do those funds come? And the only thing that comes to the church account is the donation that they give to cover utilities. So all of the other things have been in their own system outside of the church's funds.
So it's not a business being run by the church?
No. No. You have another question?
I do, and I apologize. I have like a million things, so I don't know if you answered this already, but the question is, who is directing the homeschool co-op?
So I almost said the homeless co-op. The homeschool co-op was proposed last November by Jordana, and Jordana was leading it up until her bout with mono, and then she started finding more strength from Kelly, and Tyler was helping, and so it's been kind of a team effort. And then, guys, one of the things that only reason that made it possible was the parents that had their kids in have been unbelievable, teaching art lessons, doing oversight and monitoring classrooms. The parents have, for the most part, all been involved and been a big part, from cooking lunches and different things to driving students, and all. It's been the parents. You have another question online?
Well, they clarified, and again, I apologize if this was stated, but is the school just for students from the U.S. who speak English? Is it English or speaking only?
No. The homeschool cooperative has catered mostly to that demographic, but what we want to present to you today in this kind of change of direction is something that we believe is accessible and available for anyone in our church and in this kind of local community. Mm-hmm.
Would it be good to have a webpage or Facebook or something, the school itself, because it gets a lot of enrollments of people that come to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
They might not know their
Yeah. The question is, wouldn't it be good for the school to have its own website or marketing in order for the greater community to know, because there's a lot of people that would like an option like this? And yes, and it's actually been formed, but hasn't been publicized because we want to respect this process. Mm-hmm. It is separate than the church website. Yeah, Tom. Yeah. Yeah, I do. We are doing this out of our bylaw rhythm, and that is the question is, should we hear the whole presentation before we ask questions? And yeah, but typically we would take discussion right before we would take the vote, and then you've heard all the information and stuff. But I do want to, in a minute, turn over to Kelly, and that would be best to hold your questions until she's done. And then we're actually going to present the vote, and then we'll have a motion, a second, and then we'll hear discussion on the motion before we accept it. So yeah, I would ask that you hold your questions until the end for Kelly.
Are you going to be discussing the school or the co-op?
We'll be discussing the school. The question is, are we discussing the school or the cooperative? And if you look at the agenda that went out, the agenda, the vote today is that what has been a co-op is kind of pivoting or moving towards a learning center, a little bit more official, that is a little bit broader reaching. And we're proposing that that learning center would be the new school initiative moving forward. So we move back from this broader international school that has MEP and has, the rigorous academic and the international diploma to more of a learning center that has the potential to build up to that one day.
Do they have the same leadership?
No, there's been some shift in leadership as well. The school planning team was being led by Matt for the last year, and he shut that down in January. Is that right? School planning team stopped in January because there was going to be